सिद्धेश्वरा शिव शंभो कुमारा सिद्धेश्वरा नमोदराय विघ्नेश्वरा अंबिका तनया ओंकारेश्वर अंबिका तनया ओंकारेश्वर रंग साई शिरडीश्वरा रंग साई पर्थीश्वरा लंबोदराय विघ्नेश्वरा शिव शंभो कुमारा सिद्धेश्वरा विघ्नेश्वरा लंबोदराय विघ्नेश्वरा अंबिका तनया ओंकारेश्वर रंग साई शिरडीश्वरा रंग साई पर्थीश्वरा राय विघ्नेश्वरा
सभी का 5,000 2 मिनट के कॉल
गुरुदेवा प्रिय देवा साई देवा
गुरुदेवा प्रिय देवा साई देवा दयामया गुरुदेवा प्रिय देवा साई देवा दयामया गोकुल नंदन साई गोपाला गोकुल नंदन साई गोपाला रघुकुल भूषण साई रामा रघुकुल भूषण साई रामा प्रेम दयांत दया करो प्रेम दयांत दया करो गुरुदेवा प्रिय देवा साई देवा दयामया विभूति शांत शेखर देवा दयामया गोकुल नंदन साई गोपाला रघुकुल भूषण साई रामा देव दयांतक दया करो देव दयांतक दया करो देवा प्रिय देवा साई देवा दया
इसके बाद में this follow us after this.
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा
अच्युतं केशवं राम नारायणं दामोदरं वासुदेवं हरि
अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण
नारायणं नारायणं वासुदेवं
केशवं कृष्ण
दामोदरं
राम नारायणं जानकी वल्लभं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरं राम नारायणं जानकी वल्लभं हम कहते हैं भगवान आते नहीं कहते हैं भगवान आते नहीं तुम मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं तुम मीरा के जैसे बुलाते नहीं अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरं नारायणं जानकी वल्लभं कहते हैं भगवान खाते नहीं कहते हैं भगवान खाते नहीं बेशबरी के जैसे खिलाते नहीं बेशबरी के जैसे खिलाते नहीं अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरं राम नारायणं जानकी वल्लभं कौन कहते हैं भगवान नाचते नहीं कौन कहते हैं भगवान नाचते नहीं गोपियों के तरह तुम नचाते नहीं गोपियों की तरह तुम नचाते नहीं अच्युतं केशवं कृष्ण दामोदरं राम नारायणं जानकी वल्लभं नाम जपते चलो काम करते चलो नाम जपते चलो काम करते चलो, हर समय कृष्ण का नाम जपते चलो, हर समय कृष्ण का नाम जपते चलो। याद आएगी उनको कभी ना कभी, याद आएगी उनको कभी ना कभी, कृष्ण दर्शन तो देंगे अभी, हाँ अभी, कृष्ण दर्शन तो देंगे अभी, हाँ अभी। ऋषभं कृष्ण दामोदरं रामनारायणं जानकी वल्लभम्।
महादेवा महेश्वरा साई नारायणा,
महादेवा महेश्वरा साई नारायणा,
महादेवा महेश्वरा साई नारायणा,
महादेवा महेश्वरा साई नारायणा,
नटनागर दुःखभञ्जना साई नारायणा,
नटनागरा दुःखभञ्जना साई नारायणा,
नटनागर दुःखभञ्जना साई नारायणा,
नटनागरा दुःखभञ्जना साई नारायणा,
महादेवा महेश्वरा साई नारायणा,
महादेवा महेश्वरा साई नारायणा,
करुणाकरा अखिलेश्वरा साई नारायणा,
करुणाकरा अखिलेश्वरा साई नारायणा,
करुणाकरा अखिलेश्वरा साई नारायणा,
करुणाकरा अखिलेश्वरा साई नारायणा,
अल्लाह तुम महावीर यीशु साई नारायणा,
अल्लाह हो तुम महावीर यीशु साई नारायणा,
अल्लाह तुम महावीर यीशु साई नारायणा,
अल्लाह हो तुम महावीर यीशु साई नारायणा,
हृदयेश्वरा परतीश्वरा साई नारायणा,
हृदयेश्वरा परधीश्वरा साई नारायणा, हृदयेश्वरा परधीश्वरा साई नारायणा, हृदयेश्वरा परधीश्वरा साई नारायणा, सुख भंजना साई नारायण
करुणाकरा अखिलेश्वरा साई नारायण
करुणाकरा अखिलेश्वरा साई नारायण
अल्लाह महावीर येशु साई नारायण
अल्लाह तुम महावीर येशु साई नारायण हृदयेश्वरा परधीश्वरा साई नारायण हृदयेश्वरा परधीश्वरा साई नारायण महादेवा महेश्वरा साई नारायण
Navi, do you want to sing one?
तेरी है ज़मीं तेरा आसमां तू बड़ा मेहरबान तू बख्शिश कर सभी का है तू सभी तेरे खुदा मेरे तू बख्शिश कर तेरी है ज़मीं तेरा आसमां तू बड़ा मेहरबान तू बख्शिश कर सभी का है तू सभी तेरे खुदा मेरे तू बख्शिश कर तेरी मर्जी से है मालिक हम इस दुनिया में आए हैं तेरी मर्जी से है मालिक हम इस दुनिया में आए हैं तेरी रहमत से हम सबने ये जिस्म जान पाए हैं तू अपनी नजर हम पे रखना इस हाल में है ये खबर रखना तेरी है ज़मीं
तेरा आसमां
तू बड़ा मेहरबान तू बख्शिश कर सभी का है तू सभी तेरे खुदा मेरे तू बख्शिश कर तू चाहे तो हमें रखे तू चाहे तो हमें मारे तेरे आगे झुकाते सर खड़े हैं आज हम सारे ओ सबसे बड़ी ताकत वाले तू चाहे तो हर आफत टाले तेरी है ज़मीं तेरा आसमां तू बड़ा मेहरबान तू बख्शिश कर सभी का है तू सभी तेरे खुदा मेरे तू बख्शिश कर तेरी है ज़मीन तेरा आसमान तू बड़ा मेहरबान तू बख्शिश कर सभी का है तू सभी तेरे खुदा मेरे तू बख्शिश कर खुदा मेरे तू बख्शिश कर
क्या बोलना है? पूछो कुछ।
What's that, Navi? I heard you want to sing.
हाँ, किस पे सुनना है? चाबी दो तो फिर मेरी आवाज निकलेगी, नहीं तो मैं चुप हो जाऊंगा।
कुछ करंट सिचुएशन का ही बोलिए
करंट सिचुएशन
मतलब उसको पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट या जो लर्निंग है हमारे लिए
आपने जो बुक निकाली स्वामी की वो कौन सी है?
गीता,
बस इसके बारे में बताएं।
इसके बारे में क्या बताना? ये
Yeah,
तो पूरा जीवन है।
बिल्कुल स्वामी जी, बस we want to hear that wisdom in the context of contemporary time.
वो तो फिर उसका पूरा सार हो गया। You understand सार?
I have a specific question.
Yes,
What
ask.
is life?
What is life?
I read a lot of books which tell me life is what you make it, is how you see it, have purpose in your life is that. It all sounds nice in text, but how do you understand? Like I don't know, it's something that I still question.
Yeah, so all that is at periphery, what you just said,
Yeah.
what you have read. So what is your understanding which I need to address? What is that which is tickling you?
That is my question, what is life? Because how I see it is like, cool, we all put on this earth, we all have a purpose apparently.
Ah.
We do different things that give us purpose,
Ah.
and in the end we die. It's kind of
A very
grave if you think about it.
grave, grave
We
situation.
all just have to die in the end.
Okay,
So
good,
that's
good, good,
my
good.
question.
Yeah, very. This is the basic question of humanity, which only Sanatan Dharma addresses. Sanatan Dharma, you know,
Yes.
there are many religions. There is Hindu religion, there is Christian religion, Islam religion, Jain religion, Sikh religion, but Dharma is one, and that is Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana means eternal, eternal Dharma, eternal righteousness. And what are the texts which address that Dharma, that duty, that righteousness, are basically the Vedas. Vedas do not come under any religion. Bhagavad Gita, it does not come under any religion. And Brahma Sutras, they do not come under religion. Because Vedas were revealed to the great sages. Religion only began when, since exactly. Only 2020 years ago, 21 years ago, religion began. Before that, there was no religion. Yes, before that, you can say there were different schools of thought, and those different schools of thought were the Sanatan thought, which is what we today call as Hindu thought, but majority, 99% people do not understand what Hinduism is. They have made it into a sellable commodity. So that is not what we practice. And second, out of Hinduism, out of Sanatan Dharma came, what came? Buddhism came about 2,500 years ago, 500 years, 700 years before Jesus Christ. Because our present today's time begins from the day Jesus was born or crucified or whatever it is, I don't know. Huh?
Common era. They call it now.
Ah,
Not
whatever.
BC.
So whatever, it's that period of time that they are calculating, but our calculation goes much further away, back. This was now what you are asking. I'm coming to that. I'm just creating a picture around it. Once I was coming from India to Australia, and I was with my friend. I was with my friend at Singapore airport, and from far away I saw Dalai Lama coming. You all heard of Dalai Lama? He came and he had an entourage of about 20-30 people, and he was going into the plane before my flight. So I was not even in security check. I was sitting outside. And when he came, I was waiting. Arey, Dalai Lama ke darshan hoga, what fantastic. And as if he's just there where that wall begins, I stood up. And I didn't, because such a huge entourage next to him or around him with guns and security and all that, I just stood in my place and my friend stood with me. He came straight to me. When he came, out of tradition, out of my reverence and respect, first time I'm seeing such a great man face to face, I immediately touched his feet. He picked me up and he says, yes, and he touched his head to my head. That is their tradition. And I am cheeky. I said, Swamiji. He says, yes. I said, data transfer ho gaya. Literally, I said, Swamiji, data transfer ho gaya. He says, data kya transfer hoga? You belong to that Sanatan Dharma, that eternal religion without which Buddhism could not exist. You understand? So Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, Zoroastrianism, they have all come out of Sanatan Dharma. Even the practices of no form are also out of Sanatan Dharma only, which Islam practices. It is also from Sanatan Dharma only. If you practice Sanatan Dharma, if you study Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita and the Brahma Sutra, you will become a wise Muslim. You will become a wiser Hindu. You will become a wise Christian. You will become a wise Sikh. But without this study of these three texts, we can't understand why we are praying to God, Krishna, Krishna, Rama, Rama, Govinda, Govinda. But what is the purpose? Just lage raho. So what do the scriptures tell us? See, if I remember last time when I came here, we talked about Antardrishti, Antarlaksha, Bahirdrishti. Remember? Ke bhul gaye. So that was a different topic, but now you think in life, I got this computer. Someone presented me this computer. Now, it's the latest one. If I just use the email in this, I am doing disservice to this computer. So what it comes with a manual. And that manual makes me familiar with all its functionalities, and I can use it to the best of its ability. Correct? Every equipment on this planet comes with some manual, right? Now, if you pray to Shirdi Sai Baba, what is his manual? Shri Sai Satcharitra. That is how you connect to him, right? That is his manual. If you want to connect to Ram, if you believe that Ram is ultimate, what is his manual? Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana, ya Tulsi Ramayana. If you want to connect to Krishna, you have to study Srimad Bhagavatam. Hai na? But the question is, if you want to know who you are, which manual do you study?
Going inside.
But which manual do you study? How do you understand? So Ramayana teaches you about Ram, Bhagavatam teaches you about Krishna, Shiv Puran teaches you about Shiva, Trambakam yajamahe sugandim pushtivardhanam, it tells you about Lord Shiva, but none of these mantras tell you about you. So, what did I say? The three basic tenets in our Sanatana Dharma, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra is PhD, double PhD. First, we must study Bhagavad Gita, then we become qualified to study the Upanishads, and after we have studied them thoroughly, then you go into Upanishads. Because life is full of contradictions. What is contradiction? Today, now it is night, just few hours ago it was day. There is in, there is out, there is up, there is down. This world is made up of duality. But is this duality real? Are these opposites real? They're relative. That's the word. They're relative. Whatever is relative is not real. For example, she is a woman. You are a woman. Are you married? Looking. Okay. I'll talk about then one who's married. Okay. She's a woman, and she remains the same, but with reference to her husband, out of her, the husband comes, a wife comes out. With reference to the child, the mother comes out. With reference to her mother, the daughter comes out. So who are these? Daughter, mother, sister? They're relative. What is their reality? They are only, huh? No. Relative, what they are? They are temporary? Are they real? Those roles, are they real? Does anything happen to the woman if the mother goes away? Like my father went away. Anything happened to me? The son went away. But did anything happen to the man here? No. Then my sister went away. Did anything happen to the brother? No, the man's still there. If my wife goes away, don't have a wife, but wife went away, will anything happen to the man? No. Husband went away, because what went away? Husband, wife, brother, sister, but they were already not there. They were already not there.
But we are born with these relations. No?
We are not born with relation. No child knows that he has a mother. No child knows that he has got to study school. No child knows that he has to make a career. No child knows that he has to be a good person or a bad person. Every child is born ignorant. Every child is born ignorant. Then depending upon where, what environment and whatever data it has come with. If I plant a coriander seed, what will I get? Will I get a lemon tree? I'll get a coriander tree only, no? If I put a orange seed, I'll not get lemon again, and I will get orange tree. Similarly, the child comes with some data inherent within it, but the environment also programs him. Now, what you have come with, you cannot do anything about it, can you? That what you have come with is pushing you to learn to talk, to learn to walk, to learn to slowly, as you are growing, all the abilities, at least at the physical level, they keep enhancing themselves. But as regards the knowledge is there, the choice is there. You can study books, or you can. So what are people studying nowadays? They are studying, going to the school, then they are going to college, then they are going to university. For what? What are they going there for? To earn, very nicely said, to earn a living. They are not going there to become a complete human being, because this education system is not addressing that. Now, whether you take Upanishads or you take Bhagavad Gita, it addresses straight away. What is that? What does it address? It says your human birth is only for one and one only purpose. What is that purpose?
To know who you are.
To Yes, to know who you essentially are. Essentially are. Not father, mother, daughter, sister. Once you have taken that out, okay, you understood that is not me, they are only imaginations. Then I am the woman. But woman is also temporary, she is changing every moment. So who are you? For that, if you just beat around the bush and pick up this book and pick up that book and pick up this book, it becomes a very, very frustrating endeavor. Then what do? We, just like you asked me, and I also had this question once upon a time. But once upon a time, when I was a kid, I read the Amar Chitra Kathas. And in that, one day, when I was reading, I used to read them again and again and again. And one day it clicked by God's grace when I was 12 years old. And what clicked? It clicked that, yeah, every king, he gives up the kingdom and goes and meditates. Even the Pandavas left the kingdom and went to meditate to Swargarohan. The Bharat, after whom the world, the country is called Bharat. He gave up the kingdom. He meditated for 10,000 years on the Lord Om Namo Narayana. So every king in the ancient times, take Yadu, take so many are there. They all gave up, and I questioned this at that time. Why is everyone giving up? Why is everyone giving up all the wealth, all the glory, all the the power, and he's becoming a mendicant? Why? Because what is your next frontier when you have everything? What is your next frontier? That is what is frustrating us, isn't it? That we don't see a goal which is worthy enough for us to pursue. We can, from $100 a week income, we can come to $1 million a week income. If we put our mind to it, we can do it. But nobody has taught us how little bit happiness can be increased to infinite happiness. How can I live in a content way? How can I live in a non-reactionary way in this life? Nobody has told me that is... Kya ho gaya? You have come to check me out? Suddenly he came, I thought something is happening. So nobody has taught us how do we explore this. And majority of the people, I was lucky. You are lucky at this young age, you have this question. I was lucky at age 12, I came to know. I made the decision there and then. When I was reading that on a beautiful winter afternoon during Christmas holidays in Delhi, and I was under a Parijat tree and I was meditating. And I slept on the Amar Chitra Katha, and when I woke up, the decision was already done. My purpose of life is moksha. Why? Because all these sages, take Vishwamitra, take Vashishta, take all the other, so Jnaneshwar Maharaj, take Dhruv, take whatever, whoever you take, all of them have pursued God realization or self-realization. That time I did not know the difference between God realization and self-realization. But I understood that everyone gave up their riches and power and wealth and went and became a mendicant. And if I have to pursue the truth, one day I will have to give up everything. And therefore, I never collected anything. Today also, I got nothing. If I need something, it comes. But I don't have anything. Because that 12-year-old kid made that decision, which went deep into his psyche and his heart, that my purpose of life is to follow these saints and sages about whom I am reading. And that took it was there, that information, the decision was made, but it took 12 to 32, 20 years it took to unfold. But what happened in that, from age 20 till 32, I was, by God's grace, I was pulled towards meditation, I was pulled towards yoga, I was pulled towards, pranayam and various sadhanas. And when that reached its peak, what is next? Always our question is, what is next? Once the satsang is over, what is next? Food, isn't it? So question is, what is next? And I prayed. I didn't want to come to, I didn't know what the answer was. So I prayed, took the Lord's name. Incessantly, 24/7, I used to take his name. And he then created the pathway for me. I went into the ashram and studied what? The manual of life. What is the manual of life? Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Brahma Sutra. These are the basic. But to study these, there are many preliminary texts which you should study, like Vivek Chudamani, Atma Bodh, Tattva Bodh, and so many different ones are there, so that Bhaj Govindam, so that your mind gets prepared for the deeper dive into the Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Gita then prepares you to dive deeper into the Upanishads, and then in Upanishads, there are so many contradictions. So a simple contradiction I can tell you about life is, seeing is believing or believing is seeing. What do you live by? What do you live by? See, you say seeing is believing. So I see you. You are a man. That's what my eyes tell me. But what do the scriptures tell us to believe? That every man has a woman inside him. Meaning left brain and right brain. You have to understand what the woman is. The Stri, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, the energy. Are you without energy? No. Every man has. So why you are calling yourself only a man? Because society calls you. Everyone in our Taoist philosophy, yin and yang, it's a balance, isn't it? In ours also, Ida Pingla, or left brain, right brain. Right brain is feminine, the left brain is masculine. So are we not a mixture of both? But we call ourselves only man. So we have to, the scriptures beckons us to give up these beliefs about ourselves, that I am a man, I am a woman, get out of this. No. Only when you look at form, you are something. But who are you essentially? You are the spirit. You are the consciousness. Oh, I'm the consciousness. But how do I, what is this consciousness? How do I get, then now read the manual systematically. One guy came, when I came to Australia, I was in Australia, when I studied and came back, one boy used to come. And he used to come and then ask me, he will open the book, I'm intuitive. And he will read something, Uttama Purusha Stvanya Paramatma Yudharata. The Supreme Person is yet other than these, who having entered all these three worlds. Swamiji, what is these three worlds? He read something and he's asking me a question. So he has not contemplated on it. And because he's never come across any scriptures, initially, I have to come down to someone's, a child's level. So I used to come down, I say, kya karega yaar? What will you do by studying all this? Just enjoy. No, I want to know. Okay, three worlds are the gross, subtle, and causal. So gross world is the gross body, or very simply put, totalitarian gross world is the total physical world. Then subtle world is the total dream world. And causal world is the total deep sleep world, which is absence of these two. So, oh, really? What is gross world? What is subtle world? Why do they call it subtle? What does it involve? So 3 months, I kept entertaining him. Sometimes he will pick up a yoga book. Sometimes, because we have the library. Sometimes he'll pick up this book, Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes he'll pick up Upanishads. After 3 months, I was new brahmachari that time. And I was also eager to answer questions. But I caught...
Sorry about that.
I caught the game that he is asking the same questions over and over again, and I'm answering the same thing. Then after 3 months, the tube light went up. Then I told him, okay, here is Bhagavad Gita. You read 5 verses, the first 5 verses. And he used to work from in the evening and in the morning. So he will come at 12 o'clock, 11:30, 12:30 at night. I said, okay, if you are interested, I will give you my time. But I will only answer the questions from the 5 verses that you have studied that day. So begin from the first 5 verses. That bugger, in 9 months, he used to come at 1 o'clock in the morning, keep me awake till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, because he was hungry. He was eager. He wanted to know what is life. What is the end game of me being born? Is it to only be born, eat, make some money, get married, have children, and then die? And keep everyone miserable afterwards? And cry for me? In Corona, you can't even do that. You can't even do the last rites. So many of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
See? Is that the purpose? And once he started studying 5 verses every day, and my commitment was there. I said, okay, you read, you study. If you have any question, till you are not satisfied, I will not, you can take my time. 9 months, he completed the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. See? Now, reading is one thing, questioning is one thing, being subjective is another. Now, this is the next stage. I can read, but what does subjective mean? What do you understand as subjective? I?
Opinions, like your opinion or perception.
Okay. So subjective will be, I give one example. What you're saying is absolutely correct. We are all sitting at one particular place in this room. How I look at this room is very subjective to me. How you look at this room is totally unique to your eyes, isn't it? Same way with how Gautam is looking, same room, but his vision of the room is very subjective. So each one is having his own take on this room. But is the room different? If I am made to draw here the room, and you are made to draw the room, and he is made to draw every one of us asked, everyone will draw differently. And if I say, okay, you all check each other's, you will all fail each other. But you give it to me, I will give pass to everyone. Why? Because I know you are all in the same room. It's because where you are sitting from there, that standpoint, everything is right. So where are you sitting? That is the question now. Here, you understood this point where we are sitting? Now, where are we sitting in life? Are we sitting in seeing is believing? I'm just taking that example because I asked you. Are we believing that whatever I see is the truth? Or what I am sitting in, that I can make my belief, if I believe in something, that will be my reality. Because in the end, your mom got married, she saw a man, she was engaged, she got married, she saw a man, but where is the wife? It's only a belief, isn't it? It's only an acceptance that this man I am wedded to. What was the wedding? Just one Jaymala. So any Jaymala and you are married, one ring. These are only tokens. But many people don't even care. First, one day they get married, next week they get divorced. Then what is that which keeps her with your father for so long? Her belief that this is the way I must live. These are the values that I must pursue in life. Why? It is our sanskar. You understand? So this is just one example I gave. So as everyone who was sitting here was having his own vision of this room, similarly, we are having our own vision of what life is. And there are different philosophies. Buddhists say there is no truth. Vaisheshikas say that the truth is because the spirit comes and joins with the matter. Buddhists say matter joins with the mind, then life is created. See, I'm telling you the different technical differences. The Buddhist philosophy says the mind meets the object, or this object meets the mind. When the two meet, mind and the object, then the spark that is created, that is consciousness. This is their belief. And therefore they don't believe in Atman. They don't believe in Atman. They believe in nothing, nihilism. There's nothing, shunya. Whereas Vaisheshikas, for them, life is very temporary. They say, oh, Atma is identified with the mind, and then everything functions. You also believe that, isn't it? That you are identified with the body. Do you consider yourself to be a body or not? You consider, which means, and is life expressing through this body? In a dead person, there is no life. In this body, there is life. So what is your conclusion? Seeing is believing. That life, in me, life is expressing, therefore I am alive. And in a dead person, life is not expressing, therefore he is dead. Wrong conclusion. Wrong conclusion. What is not expressing in him is the breath. And what has happened to the life? The life has become only unmanifest because the body could not handle the manifestation of life, of consciousness. Example, a car is working, you work the car day in and day out. Maybe, do you drive to work now? Or so kitne kilometer ho gaye?
18.
Oh, new car. Okay. Suppose the car has done, wrong person I asked. Take my car, 120,000, 30,000. 10 years, 10, 15,000 kilometers per every year. Now, already it is making some sounds here, there. I will service it, I will fix it, I'll change some parts, I'll pull it for another 5 years. When that car is unable to take me from point A to point B without any problems, till then I'll use it. But when I know that it's giving too many problems and I'm spending too much money and energy on it, then what will I do? I will change the car, isn't it? Exactly the same thing. Change the body. Body goes. You don't go. Now, you have heard the concept of soul. You have heard the concept of soul? You have not heard the soul? The soul, soulmate, soulmate. That they know. But soul, what does soul mean? Something that is very dear, that is something very close to you. And what is that close to you? That which is expressing. What is that expressing? Now, it is not your eyes are seeing is expressing and hearing is expressing. All that is true. Our attention must go soul or life. Soul and life is one and the same. Soul or life is that which is present in a living person and absent in a dead person. This is a basic understanding, very basic. Once you understand this, then we take you to the next step, that it is not missing, it is only unmanifest. Then we take you to the next step, that there is nothing called soul. So as long as you remain in body identified, that this is the position. Remember, looking at the same room from different positions. Sitting in this body, but where are you looking at this body from? Are you looking at it from the sensory point of view? Are you looking at this body from the mind point of view? Are you looking at this body from the breath point of view? Are you looking at this body or life or the whole experience of life from intellect point of view? Or are you looking at it from spirit point of view, from where he is looking? He's looking at everything from spirit point of view. We are looking at it from sensory. Forget sensory. We are looking at a person and we are thinking that we are the father. Father is a ghost. There's no person, there's only man. Father is a ghost. So also there is the husband is a ghost. So also a son is a ghost, because these three personalities, they seem to exist, but actually there is no one there. There's only one man. Understand? So if you sit in the body, because that is God's creation, you did not create that, it happened. Now, where are you sitting? If you are sitting in relationship, then you will take that role. If you say, so there are two things as our scriptures say, and Swamiji puts it in 2 lines. If you live for possessions and relations, you can never come to know what life is. If you live for possessions and relations, and why you live for possessions and relations, it's only from security point of view. It's only from longingness that you want to belong somewhere. And why you want, pardon me?
Some insecurity.
Insecurity. So you want to possess to be secure, and emotionally you want to possess relationships, create relationships, so that you think that you will become emotionally secure. You understand? A psychiatrist gets so many patients. Every month he also goes to a psychiatrist. You know, this is the rule. So many shrinks I have come across in Melbourne. I call them shrinks. They also go every month. They need to clear their mind. Why? Because they have not learned how to process the people that are coming to them and downloading on them. Maybe not as many, because I don't charge, but still people are continuously coming to us. Whom do we go and download to? I don't go to any shrink. I don't go to anyone. Then how do I process? If I think that I am the doctor and I have to heal, then I am asking for trouble. Then what is my position?
Mediator.
No mediator.
Stethoscope.
The person comes, listen from here and take it out from there. No data remains inside.
Mediator.
Just drop everything there.
No, I don't even think of dropping.
Just don't
My
get anything.
my attention is on the higher. What has brought someone to me, I don't know. What that person wants from me, also he knows. What answer must come from me, also he knows. I am not here to be a doctor. I am not. So if someone says, Swamiji, we have come, I want some, sometimes they say, Swamiji, one person came, Swamiji, how much do you charge? I said, how much can you afford? She came. Swamiji, I'm an instrumentation engineer, and for so many months now, I've been laid off from the job, and I'm not getting a job. And lo behold, in 2 weeks' time after that, I said, Amma, enjoy 2 months holidays you have got, 3 months holidays you have got. You are in such demand, you will get a job. She says, yeah, I applied for 2-3 places and I got one interview somewhere I passed, and I want blessings, Swamiji. Ab log kehte hain blessings, to hum kya kare? But by God's grace, in 2 weeks' time, she got the job. And she was happy. She brought fruits and some dakshina, and Swamiji, thank you, thank you, thank you. 2 months later, again she called, Swamiji, can I have a consultation? I said, what happened now? You're ready to pay more? No. I live in Hoppers Crossing and I got the job in Dandenong. I have to drive so much. How will I live? I am driving 2 hours every day, one way. What should I do? I said, buy a house in this side. This is my solution. What else can I do? And she bought it. And when she bought it, the husband lost the job. Again, 2 months later, phone call. Again, phone call. Swamiji, my husband lost the job. Now what to do? I said, ask him to apply. And he applied. He got the job in Perth. Now her problem, Swamiji, I am only one single mother. How can she take care of a small daughter and this and that? I said, Amma, persevere, yaar. This is what life is. To go through the challenges with a smile, not complain every damn moment that comes by. And eventually, no, I'm missing my husband, nobody is there to take care of. I said, then you resign and go and find a job there. She did that. And the moment she went there, after 1 month, he lost the job again.
Oh gosh.
And then he found a job in India.
Oh.
Then I went to Perth with Swamiji and she came. Swamiji, now what should I do? I said, I am not answering any more questions. See how it is. So they have decided, that person has decided life is a problem. Life is not a celebration. So where am I sitting right now? When people come with, so do you think that person's story that I'm telling you right now, that it is creating any emotion inside of me, poor this, poor that? Nothing. It's just data which is there. At that time, I come across totally concerned and compassionate and everything, but strict also, because otherwise they'll keep going into depression. I have to stop that from happening, make them laugh a little bit, and then that's it. Because majority of people only want to download. They don't want answers. Like the other day, I went to someone's house and he said, Swamiji, please come over for dinner. I said, okay, I'll come. No, what, there's a surprise. I said, what surprise, man? He made nice dinner and then he says, I want you to do something. What? You have to just press your finger here on the computer. For this, he called me. I said, kya ho gaya? He showed me on some website, I don't know. He put some money on the digital currency. And he made $150,000 in last 1 month. Now his feeling is, Swamiji, you touched, I made the money. ये belief है ना, हम भी ऐसी believe करते हैं ना, क्योंकि we see what are you seeing? A photograph, but what are you believing? That what this photograph represents is something divine, isn't it? Now this is one example. Now we are coming back to the manual. Where are we sitting? If I'm sitting in the body, forget about the relationships. That has happened now. I'm sitting in the body. What will be the pursuit? You will only do action at the level of body. Something has to be done. Efforts have to be put. If I don't do, how things will happen? This is the feeling. And suppose that theek hai. Someone has worked out, yama niyama kar liya hai. It's not disturbed by the world. Enough money is there. Some parents are there, or we have made enough money to now, but the attention is still in the body. Then what will this person do? He will do only one thing. He will start doing yoga, start twisting the body in 64 different directions. And when the body becomes still, then by grace of God, he realizes, hey, life is because of breath. He starts thinking about breath. Now he doesn't think about body because body is no longer a disturbance. The moment he comes to breath, because his attention is on breath, he starts doing pranayam. Then as he does pranayam, mind quietens down, body quietens down, his attention goes to what is the next frontier? People don't even know what they are made up of. What are we made up of? Aapko pata hai? What are we made up of? Panchabhuta. Say again. Water. What else?
Earth and fire.
Space, air, fire, water, earth. These 5 elements go, and this body, well, okay, we are talking about the body. If you just talk about the physical body, what is it made up of? These 5 elements plus? Yes, tell.
I don't think space is in your body.
Where are you right now?
Here.
Where? Are you in the wall? Are you inside the brick? Or you are in the house space?
And then a house.
Can house be built without space? Is the house existing in space? Therefore, so
I like
without,
space like that.
no, space means absence. Everywhere there, this is also space.
Oh, that space. I thought you meant
This space and outside space is the same. Okay. Good. But what is body? आपने तो बोल दिया space, air, fire, water. That is the elements that go into making this body. But what is the body? They don't even know that there are 5 layers to our body. One is the Annamaya Kosh, which is the gross body. Second is the Pranmaya Kosh, the gross body, the physical body is enveloped by the breath body or the vital air body. This vital air body is then enveloped by the mental body. The mental body is enveloped by the intellectual body. And the intellectual body is enveloped by the bliss body. And the bliss body is enveloped by the absence. And that absence is known by someone, and that is the consciousness. Very simply, I'm putting. I can go in detail, but I don't want to. So, is this taught in the school? No, that you are the 5 sheets, the 5 layers to your personality. So now, if I'm sitting in the senses, I will only be looking, hearing, touching, feeling. I'll be lost in that. If I'm not disturbed by seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, then how do I purify my body? I will start doing yoga. The next level is, if my attention goes to pranayam, I'll purify my breath. Breath is something which keeps the body and the mind stuck together, like a stamp. What is sticking the stamp to the envelope? The glue. Breath is the glue which sticks the body. Body is the stamp. It is sticking to the envelope called the mind. Now, as the breath goes slow, you want to practice something like this? Normally, you breathe about 15 to 17 breaths every minute. You don't have to do any pranayam. You just sit quiet, relax, just breathe, just scan yourself from top to bottom, 2-3 times, and just sit and make a resolution that you are not going to be disturbed by anything and remain focused on the breath, which is automatically going in and out. You are not breathing. Breathing is happening, isn't it? So you just watch the breath in, out. Very quickly, within 5-10 minutes, if you are doing with total relaxation, no distraction, within 5 minutes, the breath will go down to between 3 and 7 breaths per minute. The moment breath starts going down, your body starts becoming heavy because the stamp is getting removed from the envelope. Try it, do the experiment. And if you can keep going, keep practicing, it will not happen. It may happen in one day. It happened to me in one day. But you keep practicing. And once you recognize that, hey, I am not the body, because body is separated. Body, you want to move your finger, it will not move. You want to move your leg, you cannot move. You want to open your eyes, the eyes will not open. Why? The breath has become so slow and shallow that the energy required to do any activity at the physical level is not available. But if you don't get disturbed by that disposition of yours, then you become available to your mind. Next level. Then you go to the mind. Now what do I do? So body is quiet, breath is quiet, no disturbance, physical or breath-wise. Because the more the breath is, hunger and thirst come. So now we are becoming immune to hunger and thirst. So then come to the mind. Then what do we do to the mind? How do we quieten the mind? How do we purify the mind? What is the way? Do we study books to purify the mind? No. What is purification of mind? What is purification of mind?
Make it pure.
Make it pure. That's what I'm asking. How do you make it pure?
Empty them.
Empty the mind. Empty the mind. When do you feel blissful every day? Are you blissful when you are in the waking? Are you blissful when you are in the dream? Or are you completely unconcerned about any damn thing when you are in sleep? You are in bliss in sleep, isn't it?
Yes.
So what is the state in sleep? There are no thoughts in sleep. Mind is absolutely empty.
Well, what about if you have a dream?
That is different stage. So when some people have dream for maybe 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes, half an hour in the night, rest of the time is deep sleep. So what is the state of deep sleep? Where there are no thoughts. Dream is also a thought. So no thoughts of waking, no thoughts of dream, and your mind is empty. Now watch, I'll give you one practice which you can do it at home. Turiya is baad mein aayenge, abhi to mind pe hai. To do this exercise, but understand what I'm going to say now. Every night when you go to sleep, what do? Now we have satsang will be over, food will be going into our stomach. It's already night. We have programmed ourselves that by 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I don't know what time mommy puts you to sleep. 7:30?
Oh,
7:30? No.
I sleep really late.
Oh my God, you're an owl. Me too. I don't go to sleep till 12, 12:30. Not because I can't sleep. I read, meditate, whatever from inside Lord. But anyway, so what was I saying? What do we do when we go to sleep? So once we know we have been programmed every night, we have to go to sleep. Why we have to go to sleep? We want to be fresh tomorrow morning, isn't it? We have that data that if we don't have a good night's sleep, I will not be fresh tomorrow. So when we go to sleep, we change into our night clothes, all the ornaments and everything which can disturb us, prick us, this, that, we throw it away or put it away in the proper place.
Actually, I sleep really late.
You do, but you must be great. You must be a great yogi. You understand? You know why? You do get uncomfortable,
Sometimes.
but you are lazy to get up and take it out, isn't it? Right now, if you go to bed with the glasses on and they break, daddy, mommy will scold you once and they will make you another one. But when you have to pay for it, then you will make sure that you keep it very nicely, properly, so that it doesn't come in the way, isn't it? So point is that when we go to sleep, we get into our night clothes. What is driving all our activity? Our thought of sleep. So we are thinking of sleep and thinks that thought of sleep, of going into a no thought state, is prompting all the activities. What are the activities? That we are tired. Oh, it was a long day. We stretch out. Oh, I have to get into my night clothes. Oh, now I have to get into the bed. Oh, now I have to get into the proper position where the sleep will come nicely. Then I pull the dhuna and I keep thinking of the sleep. As we are thinking of sleep, all the thoughts of the day, all the jobs that you have left unfinished, all the emotions, kisi ke saath jhagda hua hai, you have fought with someone, argue with someone, some regret, some expectation, some panic, some anxiousness, some pain from if you have hurt yourself. But when you are ready to sleep, everything starts going out of your mind by itself. You don't push it out of your mind. Very, very important point. When you are thinking of sleep, the entire experience, good or bad, of the day leaves your mind, isn't it? And when everything has gone, you are absorbed, you are sucked into sleep. Correct? This is happening every night to you. Now you recreate this while being awake. This is called meditation. So our mind is continuously thinking about the world, this, that, blah, blah, blah. So what made the world to go out of our mind? Our focus on sleep. So if I focus on sleep, I'll go back to sleep. But that is not what I want. So what do? I focus on him with some form. Or you focus on Om. Or you focus on the life that is throbbing within you. What is this consciousness? Who knows that these thoughts are coming and going? Who is this meditator? It depends where you are sitting. or if this is too difficult a dish to make, then take simple exercise. You take the chanting of Om and start chanting Om with feeling, not mechanical. Om. And your feeling is, I want to merge into what Om indicates. What Om indicates? The spirit. What Om indicates? The infinite spirit. Why should I believe it? Because the scriptures say so. Why? Why should I believe it? Because all the great masters, including him, they chanted Om and they realized it. So at least I can give it a try. Even if I don't have the experience, I don't have the data, I don't have the energy to go through the scriptures. When it happens, it happens. I started that way. I did not read any scripture. I just started chanting Om, and that purified the mind. And you keep chanting slowly, slowly, but make sure you do not go to sleep. You have to, and for that you have to chant loudly. And as you keep chanting, all the other thoughts get washed away in the vibration of the Om, because it's the most holy vibration, which today modern science has also proved it. Scientifically, they have proved it. So you do that. Now we are talking about the mind, purifying the mind. So once we start purifying the mind, we go through 2-3 stages. What are those 3 stages? Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Dharana means intermittent focus. So if I ask you right now, chant, think of Om. Mentally you are thinking, but every now and then he walked away, that thought will come, again you will come back to Om. Then I am speaking again and again and disturbing your focus. So, but I have to think of Om, but I have to think of Om. And you will go here, there, but you will keep coming back. Just like we are driving, the car swerves this way or swerves that way. You keep bringing it between the two lanes, right? So that is intermittent focus. That is the first stage of meditation at the level of mind. We are not talking about pranayama now. We are talking about mind. Then second stage, when you do this practice for some time, your intermittent becomes continuous. So you may be sitting for half an hour meditation, chanting Om. In that half an hour, your disturbance was maybe 2 times. So one disturbance came after 12 minutes and another disturbance came after another 10 minutes after those 12 minutes. So first came at 12 minutes, second one came at 20 minutes. So total sitting was dharana, intermittent focus. But those 12 minutes was dhyan. You were able to focus continuously without any distraction, without any distraction, only on Om. When you are able to do that, 12 minutes is too long. If you do it for 3 minutes, so that's the next stage. And then when you do that for considerable period of time, then automatically the intellect comes in. Now it has purified. No more data in the mind except Om. The thought, only Om thought is going on. Maybe a little bit few coming and going, but you are not disturbed by them. Now the mind says, mind loves variety. Wear so many different types of clothes, isn't it? So many different types of ornaments, so many different types of food, so many different things we have put here to make it so beautiful. Mind loves variety. But when it is given only one thought, Om, it gets bored. It gets bored. But you keep chanting so that you don't go to sleep. When you have conquered sleep, that means if you catch yourself that the Om is becoming quiet and suddenly you realize, Arey, I think I was in meditation. If you think you are in meditation, you have gone to sleep. But if you are watching that the Om chanting has stopped, you are still watching, you didn't go into blankness, you're still watching, and you are in silence, mind is in silence, but you are awake. You are aware of everything around, but you are awake. But no things going on around are erupting as thoughts in your mind. You have come to that stage now. It's very high, deep state. When that happens, then the third stage happens at the mind level, which is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. When Nirvikalpa Samadhi happens, in fact, when Dhyan happens, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, when Dhyan happens, you have come to realize that you are not the body. Why? You can watch the body like I'm watching her, and you can watch this body sitting there. It's your direct experience, which some people have it when they are in the midst of an accident. They have it when they are in utter grief. Someone very near or dear has passed away. That shock puts them into that. But we are not here because of any shock or because of any accident. We have genuinely, sincerely, systematically pursued to bring ourselves to that point. You understand? It is not by fluke. And all this is happening by grace. Don't forget, if you say, I am doing it, you will never reach Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Next stage will not reveal itself. Next stage reveals only because all this practice that I am doing is by His grace. He is the doer. He is the prompter. Abhi koi bhajan ga raha tha na, Sai Baba ka. I think she was singing. Or koi to ek bhajan tha. I can't remember the names. So He is doing the infinite reality. It is doing it. What is that infinite reality? Just like the total space alone is expressing as this house space, isn't it? Same way, the total infinite consciousness is expressing as individual consciousness, life in you, right? So is this space separate from the total space? You say it is separate only because your attention is on the wall. So if your attention is on the body, then you will say, oh, consciousness, where it is, I have to. But now you're already in Samadhi. So when you are Samadhi, all your barriers, your boundaries have dissolved. Where? All the boundaries are only in your mind, but now there's no thought in the mind. So there are no boundaries. It's an effortless glide. Just like you glide into sleep every night, you glide into the consciousness that you are. This is the systematic approach I have given to you in a nutshell, from one angle, one point of view. So answering your question, and then there is one more stage after Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So you go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi, do your japa, om chanting, then you are in meditation, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, few hours, few minutes. Maximum you can go for 21 days. After that you lose your body. That's what yogis say. I don't say, yogis say. But if you're gone, you come out. When you come out, it was so beautiful, it was so blissful, it was so tranquil that when you come out, again you are disturbed that you have to go to work, you have to catch the train, you have to do this. So you are now looking forward to your union with yourself. I used to do it 4 times a day. And when I was doing it became such intense that I could not continue working. I could not continue living a normal way of life. It took hold of me. I was like fish out of water. I need to know what is this. I need to understand that I'm not satisfied going into meditation and coming out of meditation, then the whole world is again there. I want to come to that stage. What I'm experiencing in meditation, I want to experience even while my eyes and senses are open. 24/7, I want that. That stage is called natural state. That is called Sahaja Samadhi. That only happens by grace. And in pursuit of that 24/7 experience of the Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the mind-free state, the thought-free state, it led me to the study of the Vedas, the scriptures. I did not decide that. It happened. And now it's a deep thing, because you have to remain, you can, through pranayam, through japa, you can force yourself to remain immune, but life is going to go on. The nature of the mind is to think thoughts, isn't it? Do we ever say that when my eyes are open, they look at good things and they look at good form, beautiful form and ugly form? But does the my eyes have any like or dislike towards anything? No, they reveal everything. They reveal a temple also. They reveal they illuminate the crematorium also, the ugliness of life also. The ears also, they have got no agenda. They listen to good sound also. They receive good sound and they receive bad sound, but they don't hold on to anything. Now you watch your mind. Mind also, it does not hold on to any thought. Thoughts come, thoughts go. That is your, I'm speaking for last half an hour. How much? Half an hour to 40 minutes. But how many words I have spoken? How many of them you remember? They came to your mind, they went away. So mind's job is to think. It is not holding on. Then who is holding on? This is the question. You say, I am thinking, I am understanding, I am contemplating. This I is the problem. So we have to, this is another way of approach now. First, I gave you the chanting of Om approach. Now the second approach. Second approach is, who is this I? What is the nature of this I? Where is he located? What is his nature? Is he? Am I? Question that you can write down. I think, therefore I am, or I am, therefore thinking is happening. Two questions. Are you because you think, or in spite of thinking, you are? Western world psychology believes, I think, therefore I am. They don't believe in spirit. Therefore, they don't believe in consciousness. Therefore, I think, therefore I am. But our Sanatan Dharma, Buddhist, the nihilist philosophy, they think there is nothing. They say consciousness comes about because mind meets the object. But Sanatana Dharma, it says, the Upanishads say that this consciousness is self-existing, self-illuminating, unborn, undying. It's the constant. And that is our true nature. To realize this true nature of ours is the reason why we have got this human body. Now, and what are we using this human body for? 2 ones are 2, 2 twos are 4, 2 fours are 8 or 6? 8. 2 fours are?
What me?
Huh.
8.
8. See, I didn't know that. So again, I have to study. If you don't realize in this life, next life again, A for apple, B for boy, C for cat. So finish it off this way. Purpose of human life is only that you have got human body is only for one purpose, to realize that you are the infinite consciousness. Just like we say, Om Bhurbhuva, you chanted now, Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tattvavidurvarenyam Bhargo Devasya. Why? We are praying to Lord Sun. Why we are praying to Lord Sun? This mantra is also used for Lord Sun. So why are we praying? Thank you for giving us light. Thank you for giving us the daylight. Thank you for giving us heat and light. Thank you for giving us the bright intellect. It should become as bright as the sun, isn't it? But you ask the sun, hey, thank you for day and night. He says, what is day? I don't know. What is night? He doesn't know what is night. From sun's point of view, there is no day and night. Then you say, okay, that I understand, because you cannot know, you are of the nature of light. Thank you for giving us heat and light. That at least you know. Sun doesn't know that he has got heat. Sun doesn't know that he has got light. Because it is his nature. I can know her if she is separate from me. Is heat and light separate from the sun? No. Therefore, he cannot have an experience of heat and light. Once we come to this infinite consciousness, what is the disposition of this infinite consciousness? It is that of this Baba or any Mahatma. Infinite love towards, unconditional love towards one and all, without reservation, without thought. In fact, if you want to go absolutely even higher, here I am saying from Ishvara's point of view, unconditional love towards one and all. One step higher, from the infinite consciousness point of view, there is nothing called the world. There's nothing called the world. Just like from sun's point of view, there is no heat and light, or day and night, or sunrise or sunset. From space point of view, there is nothing called air, fire, water, earth. Just like from your point of view, man's point of view, father, brother, husband, they are only imaginations. They are not real. So who is miserable, or who is having the challenges? Father is having the challenges with the children. Husband is having challenges with the wife. Man is not. But from man's point of view, he is not even aware that these roles are there, because they are existing in their absence. So from sun's point of view, no sun, heat and light. Similarly, from pure consciousness point of view, absolute consciousness, there is only absolute consciousness. Wherever it looks, it alone is. So no thoughts required, no mind, no body. Realizing that one is not reborn again as human being. That is the purpose of our life.
I'd like to bring you back to that. So coming back to what you said before, you can't really give a question or answer to what is life if you base it upon possessions or relationships. And why are we born into a family? Why do we connect with so many people? Why do people come into our life?
As you sow, so you reap. If she gives me spicy food today, what will I have tomorrow? A very hot bum. Right? As I put in, so will come out. So at a relative level, this is a continuum. So whatever thoughts you cultivated in your mind, you studied, what profession have you studied? Radiography. You studied that, that is why you got a job in it. If you had not studied, would you get a job in radiography? Not possible. If you eat healthy food, you will have a healthy body. So as you sow, so you reap. So if this is true now in this life, we say life is a continuum. Remember, car, you leave the car, you buy a new car. So this body is not able to express the life. So it goes, and the soul at a relative level, because you're saying relative, the soul goes and takes a new body. Based on what? Based on what memories it has. So those memories, the collection of, like an accountant always does the balance sheet. So when the last breath leaves this body, there is a balance sheet. So many good things done, so many bad things. So many, these desires remain unfulfilled. Whichever is the most intense desire, that will determine, or the last, it will come in your mind at the last moment. And that becomes the impetus to get the next body. So if you think of, if the last thought is cat, next life, meow. If last thought is dog, wow, wow, some puppy. Short life, only 10, 14 years. But if your thought is Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, you go to the abode of Lord Ram, Saket. But you will come back, because these are planes of existences. Imaginary, but true. From relative point, devotees believe it, so they go there. Some people have at that they have escaped death. They have gone to Vaikuntha, they have gone to Saket, they have gone to heaven and come back and told it was like this. So you can say it is imagination, but equally this world is also, husband is also an imagination, wife is also an imagination. So whatever you believe, it becomes your reality. So if you believe you are the spirit, then that will become your reality. So what people are coming, so if someone is getting, someone came to Swamiji, my son is not to studying after year 10, he was a Fiji fellow. That my son came and he doesn't want to study after year 10 and he's in love with a girl and he does this and he does that and he demands money and then he's got such a big body that I can't do anything. I have to give him the money. I said, you must have troubled him. You must have troubled him in the last life. You must have taken someone's money and not given back in the last life. So he came back as your son and he's taking away all your money now. Everything is in balance. You cannot have a coin with only heads. There will be head and tail. You cannot have a day with only day. It is day and night. Even if you go to Norway, 6 months day, 6 months night, but it is balanced. So same way, whatever we are, whoever we are coming in our, whoever is coming in our life is there for a purpose. Now, if your attention is on the people that are coming in your life, then we are losing the plot. When you go to a mirror, when you see your reflection, do you make the hair of the reflection or you make the hair of your original? So you're looking at reflection, but you are working on yourself. Similarly, the entire creation is a reflection of your mind. Whoever comes in your mind, life is a reflection. Learn something from them. What is there to learn from this person? What is there to learn from this question that you asked me? It just put me in this spin. I'm speaking so much. It's so dear. She asks a question. Yes, ask.
So if I had a certain personality, does that come from like a past life?
Yes, past life, because you cultivated that personality. If you were, see, remember one example, you all know. Valmiki was called Ratnakar Daku. He was a killer. He was a killer. He was a murderer. And Narad Muni came into his life. And he says, take the name of the Lord. He said, no. Is it not my duty to kill and take care of my family? He thought duty is more important towards family. So Narad Muni said, okay, go home and find out if they will go to hell because of the bad deeds that you have done. So he went back. He asked his wife. She says, I didn't ask you to kill anyone. I didn't ask you to loot anyone. It is your duty to take care of us. I don't know from where you get it. But why should I go to hell? Then he asked his son, who was in his teenage. He says, Dad, I'm only teenage. I got a whole life in front of me. Why you are asking me to go to hell? And when he looked at his daughter, she immediately started crying. His hypnosis that he is doing the duty towards his family, suddenly the veil was pulled away. He came back. They are not for me. I have been thinking that I'm doing my duty, but they only love my money. They only love the loot that I bring. They don't love me. And he said, now tell me, how do I, all the sin that I have committed in my life by killing so many people, how do I atone for it? So Narad Muni says, take the name of, you heard the story? Ram. So he says, no, I can't take God's name. I only know how to kill. In Hindi, the word to kill is Mara. So he says, Mara. It becomes Ram. That is the genius of Narad Muni. And that murderer, sinful person became Valmiki Rishi. So he purified himself by chanting Ram again and again and again. And he wrote Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana. See? So in this life also, we have this possibility to purify ourselves and be one with the divine, or recognize that we are in essence the divine. 2 ways.
And I don't think that was exactly what I asked.
That's what you said. It comes from past life. It doesn't. You didn't hear the previous example.
No, I did. Yeah.
What did you not understand?
I didn't understand who was who in your example. Who was Narad?
Who was?
Narad.
Oh, now there, then you're asking me to go into a big story. Another Swami like me. Narad Muni is like a Swami like me.
Oh, who was the murderer?
His name was Ratnakar,
Oh,
just one person.
so
But he became a saint.
because he was.
He started chanting the name of the Lord.
Didn't the Lord be angry with him for killing someone?
No, that is very, very Western thought. Our gods are never angry.
Okay.
They are very gracious, compassionate, loving, provided you love them.
Yeah. But like,
If you tease your mother, you do what your mother is not. If you don't do your homework properly, if you don't make your bed properly, if you don't eat food properly, don't you get scolding from mommy?
no.
Hey, Amma,
Say something.
you do. Don't tell me. Mommy is standing here. That's why I asked the question. So if you don't behave properly in your daily life, then God will teach you a lesson. God will teach you a lesson. But if you genuinely repent, sorry God, I made some mistakes in life, but now I want to improve myself, then He will help you also. He is ever waiting to help you.
So if I just say the name of like one of the gods, but then he will help me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You try.
Mhm.
Seriously, I'm not joking.
Okay.
It has helped me
Yes, I definitely.
and it has helped so many people. If who is your God? Whom do you love most?
I think what was that? I think it was Devi.
Huh?
The Devi to the what called?
Kali.
Yeah.
Okay. So just remember her picture. You know the picture.
She
I'll find out.
she has like 600.
There are different forms, but you decide which one you want. You want the one with the skulls around, or you want the one with the tongue, red tongue out, or you like that one?
Oh no, I'm not even sitting on the tiger.
Huh?
The other one.
Oh, that one, Durga.
Oh, that's the. Oh, I mean,
Durga. You
No,
mean-
I know. I still mean Kali,
But she is the same. Durga alone is Kali.
but
So you look at that picture who's sitting on the tiger with 6 arms, with the spear like this, and you think of Kali, please mother, take care of me. I want to be as compassionate and I want to have all the qualities that you have. Genuinely believe from your heart and keep chanting Om Durga Yai Namaha, Om Durga Yai Namaha. Mummy will tell you.
I
He
sorry.
was born in Calcutta a day before Durga.
Ah.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but this is the last time I'm ever saying. I forgot. Do you have microphone? I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay. But you got your answer?
Yes.
Little bit?
Also, one question, but it's going to be with the hours.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Take me for a coffee and we can have a chat. Anytime I'm available. Come to Gels Park, we can go for a walk, go for a coffee and answer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Harihi Om. Very simple to solve all your questions is only one way, and that is